Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. First thing I got for you right here from Newsstack News: FDA recalls certain COVID-19 at-home tests for bacterial contamination. And let's listen to this video here.
Calling COVID at-home tests sold by CVS and Amazon over concerns of bacterial contamination. Important to note, none of the recalled pilot COVID tests were distributed free through the federal government. CVS sold 500,000 of them. Amazon sold 16,000. The FDA says bacteria in the liquid test may give faulty results, along with illness or infections through direct contact. We have details on the recall at abc27.com.
And that's all I got on that one there. Next one.
Hello, everyone. This is your daily news briefing from Cheddar News.
Let me cut this off here. Now, the next one. It's from, I got this from KMOV, Channel 4 out of St. Louis, but it's from Associated Press. It says TurboTax customers to receive checks for $141 million settlement, in case anybody used TurboTax.
Washington, AP, millions of Americans who qualified for free tax services, but were instead deceived into paying TurboTax for their returns, will soon get settlement checks in the mail. In a settlement last year, TurboTax's owner Intuit Incorporated was ordered to pay $141 million to some 4.4 million people across the country. Those impacted were low-income consumers eligible for free, federally supported tax services, but paid TurboTax to file their federal returns across the 2016, 2017, and 2018 tax years due to predatory and deceptive marketing, New York Attorney General Letitia James said. Number of tax years they qualify for. TurboTax's predatory and deceptive marketing cheated millions of low-income Americans who were trying to fulfill their legal duties to file their taxes, James said in a Thursday statement. Today we are righting that wrong and putting money back into the pockets of hard-working taxpayers who should have never paid to file their taxes. At the time of the May 2022 settlement, James said her investigation into Intuit was sparked by a 2019 ProPublica report that found the company was using deceptive tactics to steer low-income tax filers away from the free, federal services they qualified for, and toward its own commercial products instead. Under the terms of last year's settlement, Intuit Incorporated agreed to suspend TurboTax's free ad campaign. According to documents obtained by ProPublica, Intuit executives were aware of the impact of advertising free services that were actually not free for everyone. The website lists free, and the customers are assuming their return will be free, an internal company PowerPoint presentation said, per ProPublica. Customers are getting upset. In a blog post following the 2022 settlement, representatives for Intuit said that the company admitted no wrongdoing in the agreement, adding that Intuit agreed to pay $141 million to put this matter behind it, and made certain commitments regarding its advertising practices. The Associated Press reached out to Intuit for further comment Friday.
Yeah, that's what I got on that one there. And my girlfriend got suckered into that too. Anyway, let me go to the next one here. Okay, this is one from Newsmax. Hunter Biden's legal team, White House class on strategy.
Hunter Biden's legal team is reportedly clashing with top White House aides over strategies for handling the congressional GOP investigations and legal battles that plague President Joe Biden's son. Axios reported that the tensions led the younger Biden in December to hire well-known lawyer Abbe Lowell as part of a more aggressive defensive strategy, leaving his father's top aides in the dark. The decision to hire Lowell was not supported by all members of Hunter's legal team and reportedly led to his previous lawyer, Josh Levy, resigning. Lowell recently represented Jared Kushner, former President Donald Trump's son-in-law. According to Axios, Hunter's team also has a legal defense fund in the works and is hiring ethics advisors for it, causing anxiety among high-profile Democrats and others about how the solicitation for the first son's legal expenses will be perceived. For this fund to work, it must be extraordinarily transparent and even restrictive by prohibiting foreign citizens and registered lobbyists from contributing, Anthony Coley, former senior advisor to Attorney General Merrick Garland, told Axios. Without these types of guardrails, the fund will be a legitimate headache for the White House. Lowell's hiring comes as Hunter, 53, is facing multiple investigations, including a child support case in Arkansas, a Department of Justice probe into his taxes, and investigations by House Republicans. In January, Lowell had a private meeting with longtime Biden lawyer Bob Bauer, special counsel Dick Sauber and Bauer's wife, White House senior advisor Anita Dunn, to discuss the new strategy for Hunter's legal troubles. People familiar with what occurred at the meeting told Axios that White House officials and Bauer asked Lowell for improved communication from Hunter's legal team. Once reluctant to comment on published reports or Republican attacks, Hunter's team has shifted gears and switched to publicly clapping back. Lowell's influence in Hunter's circle has grown as a result.
Okay, and there's just a little bit more to read on that. Now let me go to the next one here. This is from Newsmax. Megyn Kelly slams destruction campaign against Tucker.
Former Fox News host Megyn Kelly came out swinging again to defend Tucker Carlson from an onslaught of leaks she calls nothing short of a destruction campaign orchestrated by Fox News. Kelly, who has championed Carlson since his firing last week, made her remarks on her Tuesday Megyn Kelly Show podcast. The orchestrated campaign to absolutely ruin Tucker Carlson continues, she said, claiming Fox is seeking to torpedo Carlson's ability to find a new job. It wasn't enough to fire their #1 star, in my opinion, Kelly continued. Fox News seems absolutely determined to ruin him, to ruin his reputation, to make him unemployable and, ideally, in their view, to make his audience turn on him so that they won't follow him wherever he goes next. This is a destruction campaign, Kelly said repeated, pointing the finger at Irina Briganti, Fox's vice president of communications. Kelly continued, the media is going along with this, allowing themselves to be used as tools by Irina Briganti, who runs the Fox Evil Communications Department, and her bosses, who are clearly allowing all of this. Last week, Kelly took to her podcast to allege Briganti was behind efforts to smear Carlson. And I know it's Irina Briganti, who runs comms and G hates Tucker, Kelly said. Sorry, she hates his guts, and it's mutual. He doesn't like her either. None of us do. Nobody likes Irina. Briganti denied Kelly's allegations in email stating, this is completely false and an outright lie. Briganti has been one of the major executives to survive Roger Ailes' longtime leadership of Fox, as numerous women came forward to allege improprieties at the network only to find themselves being attacked in the press through leaks. New York Magazine reported in 2016 that Fox anchors and producers live in fear of crossing Briganti, who is known for leaking damaging personal stories about Fox employees to journalists. Several Fox women told me that one of the reasons they did not speak up about sexual harassment in the past was that they were terrified Briganti would find out and smear them in the press, the New York Magazine report continued. In Tuesday's podcast, Kelly said Carlson's firing had proven a catastrophe for his former network. Fox News is suffering what could fairly be called a bloodbath at 8 o'clock, Kelly said. And now their entire prime time is suffering as a result. It is a devastating event from 8 p.m. forward now on Fox News. Fox News is truly in an existential crisis right now. And their solution to their massive error of firing their number one star is to try to ruin him. Kelly did not say if she talked with the fired host, but alleged Fox News had never given an explanation to Tucker for his termination. Kelly also slammed the New York Times for its reporting on Carlson, including Tuesday's story that claimed the host had made racist comments by saying in a text, "This is not how white men fight."
Yeah, if you hear anything from Irene Spaghetti, don't even listen to her. Or Fox News if you say anything bad about Carlson, because they're after him. And they should give him a reason why he was fired, not just say, you don't have a job there no more. Anyway, we're going to my next one here. This is from Newsmax. Senator Sinema says Biden administration border claims not true.
Senator Kyrsten Sinema, Independent Arizona, said President Joe Biden and his administration are factually not true in claiming the southern border is secure. Obviously, the border is not secure. Anyone with eyes can see that, the New York Post reported Sinema telling Fox News anchor Brett Baer during a televised interview Tuesday. Anyone who lives in a border state like I do, born and raised in Arizona, actually takes offense at comments like that because they're just factually not true. The Department of Defense announced Tuesday that it is sending 1,500 military personnel to the southern border to back up Customs and Border Protection agents in preparation for the coming end to Title 42, the pandemic-era provision allowing for the deportation of migrants coming across the border during the COVID-19 health emergency, which is also set to end. At the request of the Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Lloyd Austin approved a temporary Department of Defense increase of an additional 1,500 military personnel to supplement U.S. Customs and Border Protection efforts on the U.S. southwest border, Pentagon Press Secretary Brig General Pat Ryder said in a statement Tuesday. For 90 days, these 1,500 military personnel will fill critical capability gaps, such as ground-based detection and monitoring, data entry, and warehouse support, until CBP can address these needs through contracted support. Military personnel will not directly participate in law enforcement activities. This deployment to the border is consistent with other forms of military support to DHS over many years. During her interview, Sinema said that the deployment should be helpful, but is nowhere near enough to end the crisis, the Post reported. It is not secure. It is not safe, she said during the interview. It would be most helpful if the administration would start by actually enforcing the laws that are on the books. Sinema said she had two local officials from both political parties who run border towns testify before her Senate committee about the current situation, referring to high-speed car chases and other violence the communities are experiencing as record numbers of migrants continue to stream across the border. The reality is that border communities in my state are suffering already, she said. And that's before the end of Title 42.
Anyway, it says here that CBP has recorded more than 1.5 million migrant encounters since October 1st, 2022. More than 1.2 million of those were at the southern border. Now, these military personnel, they won't be able to do nothing but just act like a secretary. So what's the use of sending them down there? They can't do nothing with them. And like that the Mexican guy that they had a manhunt on, and he killed those people in Texas. Yeah, he was sent back to Mexico 4 different times. Let's listen to this video here.
Venezuela, which are our neighbors, do we worry about China moving in? Because, China is in many
consequences of the Biden open border policies.
Do business with these countries. That's why I'm wondering, to the extent that we keep our foot on the neck of Venezuela, which are our neighbors, do we worry about China moving in? Because, China is in many places in South America.
Well, we don't have to worry about it because China has moved in and Russia has moved in. And the reason is Maduro is a thug. He's a communist thug. Those are his allies. He stands with China. He stands with Russia. He stands with Cuba. He is a communist. And so that dynamic, we're not going to change that by suddenly picking a communist to cozy up and be friends with. That doesn't work. And he is an illegitimate dictator. He is not democratically elected. He has seized power by force. And I believe the people of Venezuela deserve the right to select their own leaders. And I think if they do select their own leaders, they are likely to select a leader who wants to be friends with America, not ally with China and Russia against America. That, sadly, is the status quo right now in Venezuela.
Well, I tip my hat to law enforcement in the state of Texas. They did get the man accused of executing 5 people, including a 9-year-old child, in a Friday night shooting. Then they got him without incident. But he had been deported, I think, 4 times and come back into the United States. This is your state, Texas. I assume that you have some thoughts on the incident as well as the fact that this was a successful apprehension.
Well, what this monster did was utterly horrific. My understanding is he was found under a pile of dirty laundry, hiding in a closet. And he was apprehended by a tactical unit of the Border Patrol working as part of a multi-agency manhunt that involved several days, involved hundreds of officers combing the state looking for him. What this monster did was horrific. He murdered 5 people in cold blood, including an 8-year-old child. I'm very, very glad he has been apprehended. He needs to be and he will be prosecuted, and I believe he should be sentenced to death for the horrific crime he committed. But I also think we should pause and ask, why did this happen in the first place? Why was he here in the first place? This individual was an illegal alien who had crossed into this country over and over and over again. He'd been deported 4 times. And yet, under Joe Biden's open border, ICE didn't come find him. They didn't deport him. They didn't enforce the law. And there are 5 people who are dead because this mass murdering illegal alien was allowed to stay here illegally. These are the very real consequences of the Biden open border policies. They are horrific. And I'll tell you, my home state of Texas is on the front line of paying the price for these policies.
Now, that guy was sent back to Mexico 4 different times, and after the Title 42 ends, I heard that there's a lot of Mexican and other people that have been sent back to Mexico, and they're just waiting it out, because when Title 42 ends, they're coming back over and staying over here, and they'll be killing people. Keep that in mind. Let's go to the next one. This is from the Telegraph. Brace yourselves. The banking crisis is just getting started.
If Jamie Dimon was pondering a career change as a fortune teller, he'd be wise to stick to the day job. On the other hand, if someone of Dimon's stature could be so wrong about the banking turmoil that continues to sweep across the U.S., a cynic might ask whether he was still the right person to be running one of the world's largest financial institutions, particularly when that organization is right at the center of government-led efforts to prop up the whole system. Having ridden to the rescue of California lender First Republic over the weekend, J.P. Morgan's superstar boss had a message for financial markets. Its shotgun takeover of First Republic heralded the end of the crisis. He should know better than to be drawn into the realms of speculation about things he has no control of, but then Wall Street is so deferential to figures like Dimon that they start to believe they can walk on water. Still, the speed with which Dimon's words have come back to haunt him comes as a shock. A mere 48 hours later, and it looked as though the game was up for yet another regional American bank, the fourth since the end of March. On Wednesday, shares in PacWest plunged by as much as 60 PC in after-hours trading, prompting the bank to announce that it was seeking salvation either through an emergency cash call or, like its stricken rivals, in the arms of a bigger competitor. The following morning, Western Alliance was forced to deny it was exploring a fire sale despite its share price plummeting 40 PC at one stage. Zions Bancorp and Comerica were also under the microscope as investors continued their frantic efforts to work out where the weakest links in the financial system lie hidden.
And you can read the rest of this in my description box. We'll go to the next one here. Okay, this from Business Insider. It will be really tough for trucking companies to stay in business if things don't pick up by Memorial Day, says the American Trucking Association.
Executives at trucking giant J.B. Hunt recently sounded the alarm about a freight recession. OOIDA, an American trucking association, is echoing the sentiment. It will be tough for truckers to stay afloat if the recession does not let up soon, an OOIDA analyst said. An American Trucking Association is the latest to sound the alarm over a freight recession gripping the U.S., saying it will be tough for trucking companies to stay afloat if the slump in freight rates does not subside soon. If things don't pick up by Memorial Day, analysts expect the freight market to stay around current levels for the rest of the year, Andrew King, a research analyst at the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, or OOIDA, told Insider. That will be really tough for a lot of carriers to stay in business, he added. OOIDA is a non-profit organization that represents over 150,000 small trucking business owners and owner-operators, according to its website. OOIDA's warning comes weeks after trucking giant J.B. Hunt posted lower-than-expected results. Company executives on an earnings call were downbeat about a broader economic slowdown that was causing a freight recession, meaning fewer trucks delivering goods across America. Even industry gauges are signaling a slowdown. The American Trucking Association's for hire contract truck tonnage index dropped by about 6% month-on-month to 95.8 in March, hitting the lowest level since August 2021. This pullback has been hitting the prices of commodities such as diesel, a key industrial fuel. Higher inventory levels and overstocked warehouses are one of the key reasons truckers are facing a freight recession. While some sectors, such as general merchandise stores including Walmart and Target, are experiencing destocking, furniture and home furnishing wholesalers, household appliances, and electrical and electronic goods wholesalers still have very high inventory levels, OOIDA's King said. But it's too soon to celebrate, another industry expert says. Despite the ongoing destocking process, a slowing demand for goods and services means there is no identifiable restocking for the peak season, Jonathan Chappell, a senior managing director at global advisory firm Evercore, told Insider, referring to the freight uptick in August and October in the lead-up to the holiday season. Full screen. Chappell, however, has a pragmatic outlook on the lingering effects of a freight recession on trucking companies. Capacity will certainly leave the market, but trucking is cyclical. Capacity will leave in droves, demand will recover, pricing will go up, and capacity will come back in droves, he added.
Yeah, pricing will go up, and the more trucks we lose, the less inventory the stores will have. Anyway, let me go to the next one here now. I speeded my voice up because I got a lot of news to put on here. Okay, I had to do this one here. I know it's from Fox News. Chicago reporter issues dire warning after being barred entry to a luxury migrant hotel. Ticking time bomb.
A Chicago reporter issued a stark warning on public safety after employees working at a luxury hotel housing migrants barred him from entering during a heated exchange caught on camera. William Kelly spoke with workers at the Inn of Chicago, requesting additional information about the status of the hotel, but the employees quickly told him it was closed and he was not welcome because he wasn't a resident at the hotel. Kelly recounted the hostile exchange with the individuals on Fox and Friends First and his broader concerns surrounding how using the hotel as a migrant facility could impact the Windy City's already rampant crime. It is very disturbing, Kelly told co-host Ashley Stromier Friday. This is right off of Michigan Avenue. We already have the retailers fleeing due to violent crime. Tourists obviously have flatlined in the city of Chicago. Hotels are struggling, and this luxury hotel is apparently being used to house migrants. The city of Chicago isn't talking about this at all, so Chicago residents are being kept completely in the dark, he continued. We really have a ticking time bomb here. Something tragic could happen at the hotel. Something could spill out onto Michigan Avenue. We are entering Chicago's notorious murder season, and we already have an out-of-control crime problem. The police are understaffed, and our new mayor doesn't seem to have a plan. The Chicago Reporter caught the exchange on video after one worker told him the location was private. Kelly pressed the individuals, arguing the location was a hotel and he saw other people go inside, but one employee said, "You cannot come in," and after further dialogue said, "It's closed for you." "It's a private area, so therefore it's private," one person said. "You're not a resident here." Kelly said the hotel is completely closed to public. He said after speaking with migrants, he found that a majority of the individuals are from Venezuela. He was quick to note that under outgoing Mayor Lori Lightfoot's leadership specifically, the city housed the migrants for a steep price tag, all at the expense of the city's taxpayers. Mayor Lightfoot is saying that this is going to cost the taxpayers between $20 and $25 million a month, Kelly said. Where is this money going? There's never really, to my knowledge, been any accounting. We don't really even know how many migrants are at this hotel. You can be sure that, if this hotel was just being run out for the public, there'd be city inspectors crawling all over this place to shut it down, he continued. But yet, as of right now, there's nobody, no one who isn't somehow running this very secretive operation, is even allowed inside the hotel. Kelly's broader concerns surrounding the run-in with employees at the Inn of Chicago stems from the lack of transparency surrounding the use of city tax dollars. The real questions that I have are the people who are in a very secretive way trying to corral these migrants, and also how quickly they turn hostile, Kelly said. That was the other thing that kind of shocked me was their attitude that Chicagoans almost have no right to know. They have no right to ask any questions, and the second I even asked my very first question before I even attempted to enter the hotel, they called 911. Kelly has been a longtime critic of Lightfoot, and the pair have a history of tussles surrounding crime in the Windy City. He accused her of revoking his press credentials in order to protect her now failed re-election campaign. Some critics cite Chicago's crime record as what spurred her election loss. Her successor, Brandon Johnson, will be sworn in May 15th.
Yeah, those are $300 a night rooms that the migrants are staying at for free. Taxpayers in Chicago's paying for it. There's a few places I'm glad I don't live. New York, Chicago, the border cities of Texas, California, and the state of Washington. Those are all bad states. Over there in El Paso, Texas, the migrants is living on the streets. You probably can drive down the streets there and see them just laying on the sidewalk. Wow. Let's watch a part of this video here.
Was barred from entering a $300 a night luxury hotel that is being used for migrant housing, with taxpayers footing the bill. Here's hotel staff confronting the journalist. Watch this.
Okay, well, this is well, why not?
Because it's private.
Well, no, this is a hotel.
It's closed.
It's closed? No, I just saw some people go inside.
Yeah. You cannot it's closed for
well, why can't I come in?
It's closed for you.
Why is it closed for me? Why is it closed for me, though? I don't understand.
This is a private area, so therefore it's private. You're not a resident here. And it's a last
Who are the residents?
That Chicago reporter, William Kelly, joins me now. William, good morning to you. So we saw what happened, that exchange on...
Okay, you can watch the rest of this. The link will be in my description box if you like. I'm going to go to the next one now. I'm going over time. This from Bloomberg. U.S. submarines are popping up more often, and it's not clear why.
Bloomberg, a U.S. nuclear-armed submarine will make a publicly announced visit to South Korea within months, prompting debate about the wisdom of a heightened public role for what's long been known as the Navy's silent service. Pentagon officials confirmed that one of the Navy's 14 Ohio-class vessels will visit, as President Joe Biden signaled in announcing a nuclear consultative group during last month's White House visit by South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. The submarines, nicknamed boomers, gained the silent service description because they are designed to glide undetected, and their port calls have seldom been disclosed, much less trumpeted, by their usually taciturn commanders. Each of the subs carries 24 D-5 Trident ballistic missiles. The U.S. has occasionally showcased its submarines in the past, but the pace picked up in the last year with publicized port visits by nuclear-armed Ohio-class submarines as well as Los Angeles-class subs carrying conventional Tomahawk cruise missiles. On April 18, days before the U.S. South Korea proclamation, the U.S. Navy announced that the Ohio-class USS Maine made an on-surface logistics stop at the naval base in Guam. Ronald O'Rourke, Chief Naval Forces Analyst for the Congressional Research Service, cited unusual Navy actions late last year to publicize the presence of nuclear-armed vessels in the Arabian Sea, at Diego Garcia, at Gibraltar, and in the Atlantic. He said it's not clear whether the upcoming South Korea visit is part of such a new, public signaling strategy, or a one-time decision, reflecting circumstances specific to the security situation on the Korean peninsula.
Okay, and if you want to read the rest of that, it'll be in my description box. There's more to read. Yeah, they're getting ready for war, little by little. Okay, let's go to the next one here. This from Bloomberg. U.S. can't use Philippine base for China offense, Marcon says.
Bloomberg, Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the U.S. can't use military bases in his country for offensive action against China in the event of a future war over Taiwan, as the Southeast Asian nation continues to balance strengthening American defense ties with increasing pressure from Beijing. I think we are in lockstep with the U.S. with that, Marcos said. And that they understand the concerns that the Philippines has, and are sensitive to the reasons why we have those concerns. Marcos, speaking at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington on Thursday, said the Biden administration had never raised the possibility that the military bases provided under an expanded defense cooperation agreement could become staging areas for any offensive action against any country. The Philippines leader, who was elected last year, said he had even reassured Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang over American use of the sites when the top Chinese diplomat visited in late April. I assured him that no, these are not intended to be military bases to attack, to move against anyone, any country, not China, not any country, Marcos said in a question-and-answer session following remarks on U.S.-Philippine relations. Marcos, in a separate Reuters interview, said joint patrols with the U.S., Australia, Japan and even South Korea in the disputed South China Sea could begin this year. Manila is in talks with Washington and Tokyo for a trilateral defense treaty, he added. He also told Reuters that expanded U.S. access in the Philippines can be used for disaster responses and to evacuate Filipinos in Taiwan in case of conflict.
Okay, and there's more to read on that if you want to read it. You can go to the next one here. There's from the Independent News. Joe Biden fact-checked by Twitter for spreading false information.
The President of the United States is in hot waters now due to him not fact-checking his statement on Twitter. Anti-woke pages on Twitter are pointing out the obvious and state that Biden is not telling the truth. Furthermore, it appears that the oldest President of the United States is receiving a lot of backlash from Americans. AP News states that the Council of Economic Advisers is issuing a warning that the United States economy can suffer severe consequences in the event of a debt default. White House economists state that the country can experience up to 8.3 million job losses. This will reflect with the stock market plummeting by 45% should an extension of a default takes place. Unless the Congress and the White House strikes a deal, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen cautions that the government may lack the necessary accounting tools to continue borrowing. Twitter users rejoice at Joe Biden getting fact-checked. Just yesterday, the president states that America is not a deadbeat nation and that they always pay back their debts. Regardless, Twitter is showing several sources that are contrary to what the president has to say. Furthermore, there was a time when Twitter did the same thing to former President Trump.
Okay, and there's more to read if you want to read more about it. See, it says here, Hunter Biden seeks to reduce child support payments for a daughter he's never met in Arkansas court hearing. Let's get up in the court and we'll be asking for bank records. Anyway, I'm going to go to my next one here. This is from the Coup Down. American companies are imposing massive amounts of used cooking oil for China, all for one unexpected reason.
In 2023 so far, the U.S. has imported about 530,000 barrels of used cooking oil to make renewable diesel, a sustainable fuel made from food waste. Renewable diesel is a type of biofuel that is chemically identical to traditional diesel fuel, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. This means it can be used in ordinary diesel engines and mixed in with diesel fuel. But instead of being made from crude oil, it's made from vegetable oil or animal fat. Rudolf Diesel, the inventor of the diesel engine, also experimented with vegetable oil as a power source, the EIA reports. However, it took until the early 2000s for companies to begin producing biofuel in bulk. Now the U.S. Department of Energy says that there are 5 plants in the U.S. making renewable diesel. While this incredible fuel source is a smart investment, manufacturers still need raw materials to work with. As of now, they're getting it from China. The analytics firm Kpler told Bloomberg the 530,000 barrels shipped between January and February, and the predicted 239,000 barrels for March, are the first imports of this type since the group began gathering data in 2017. Renewable diesel is a good financial choice for companies because there's a virtually endless supply of vegetable oil compared to a limited amount of crude oil. In addition, Bloomberg reports that there are government subsidies making it even more profitable to manufacture biofuel. As the market develops, these savings could be passed on to consumers. This fuel source is also eco-friendly while harvesting crude oil from underground pollutes the environment. According to Bloomberg, making and using renewable diesel creates only about 20% as much heat-trapping gas as traditional diesel, helping slow down rising temperatures worldwide. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, the U.S. used almost 1 billion gallons of renewable diesel in 2020. It expects 6 new plants to open in the near future, increasing the U.S.'s capacity to produce renewable diesel by 2 billion gallons.
Okay, and that's it. Well, that's one way to get rid of the old oil, instead of just burning it or throwing it in the ground. Let me go to my next one here. This is from Axios. Scoop: inside Hunter Biden's clash with the White House.
Top aides to President Biden have clashed with Hunter Biden's team over strategies for dealing with the legal battles and Republican attacks that surround the president's son. Why it matters: the tensions led Hunter, without involving the president's top aides, to hire prominent lawyer Abbe Lowell in December, as part of a plan to take a more combative approach than the White House and Hunter's previous lawyer had taken. Hunter's team also is moving toward creating a legal defense fund, and hiring ethics advisors for it. High-level Democrats and others are worried about the idea of the president's son soliciting money to pay for his legal troubles. For this fund to work, it must be extraordinarily transparent and even restrictive by prohibiting foreign citizens and registered lobbyists from contributing, Anthony Coley, the former top spokesman for the Justice Department who was senior advisor to Attorney General Merrick Garland, told Axios. Without these type of guardrails, the fund will be a legitimate headache for the White House. Zoom in: Lowell's hiring was abrupt and unwelcome among some involved in Hunter Biden's legal matters. Hunter, 53, is facing a Justice Department investigation into his taxes and a potential gun charge, probes from House Republicans, and a child support court case in Arkansas. Longtime Biden lawyer Bob Bauer, who is married to White House senior advisor Anita Dunn, had recommended Hunter's previous lawyer for the congressional investigations, Josh Levy. But Bauer had no role in hiring Lowell. Instead, Bauer was simply informed that Lowell was being hired. Levy resigned soon afterward, according to people familiar with the episode. In January, Lowell, who recently represented Republicans such as Jared Kushner, former President Trump's son-in-law, met privately with Bauer and top White House officials, including Dunn and special counsel Dick Sauber, to clear the air and discuss the new strategy. White House officials and Bauer asked Lowell to improve the communication from Hunter's team, people familiar with the meeting told Axios.
And there's more to read on that. My time is getting long here. 2 more paragraphs. Let's go to my last one here. This from the Telegraph. America will pay a terrible price for Biden's debt denial.
American politics is seemingly operating as normal. Joe Biden has been launching his bid for re-election. The Republicans have kicked off their presidential primary season. Both sides have been busy slinging insults back and forth. It's business as usual, with one big exception. It's been easy, perhaps too easy, to forget that the country's finances have been subject to extraordinary measures since the start of the year, when the debt ceiling was reached and the Treasury was forced to change tack in order to avoid defaulting on payments. These measures are expected to run out of road come June, when the U.S. risks defaulting on its debt. It's strange that, of all countries, the U.S. should have a debt ceiling. Thanks to its reserve currency status, the US is in a better position than most other countries to borrow vast sums of money. But this ceiling, dating back to the First World War, requires Congress to sign off on the Treasury's ability to borrow. Even when politicians have legislated to spend more than is brought in through tax revenue, an additional green light from Congress is required for borrowing to be ramped up. This keeps US spending more publicly accountable than in other countries. It is also a recipe for showdowns. And in a matter of weeks, an unwillingness to compromise on spending and restraint could see the US witness large-scale economic unraveling. The penalties in the past for waiting until the last minute to agree a deal, which include hits to the country's credit score and a loss of confidence with investors, would only be the start of the economic mess should these special measures come to an end before anything is agreed. A report from the White House Council of Economic Advisers this week lays out a series of worst-case scenarios, which include a deep recession, the loss of up to 8 million jobs, and a 45% hit to the stock market. These prospects are terrifying. But there are two pieces of good news. The first is that the country has never allowed debt ceiling debates to escalate that far. Back in 2011, when the gridlock seemed impassable during President Obama's first term, it was in fact then Vice President Joe Biden who was sent in to negotiate a deal with Republicans. While politicians typically do their best to use the debt ceiling debate to their advantage, there has always been recognition that no party benefits politically from wrecking the economy.
Okay, there's more to read on that if you want to read it. You know, it's a shame. We got a senile old man in charge of our finances and stuff. You know, that's terrible. That's really terrible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my news. Remember, I am Alan. I'll be reading, speaking about world news, interesting news that keep you entertained, and news that keep you informed. And I hope I gave you enough information. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and at least come back once in a while. Thanks for watching. Until next time.